Hi, I'm Gary Hill, and I'm going to be talking about the controversy about teens and texting with smartphones. This is also one of these hot buttons where there's a lot of talk and discussion on controversy in the media and on TV, etc., about is texting good or bad, how much should kids do it, etc. So, here's just kind of the real facts about texting. First of all, for those of you who are parents and at a certain age, you probably have noticed that kids really talk to each other anymore. They talk by texting. So the one thing you have to first realize, and I think this is actually a positive in some ways, is this is a generational difference. Back in my day when I was a teenager, there were no smartphones. There was no internet. Okay, there was no there were no cell phones. So people actually talked a lot more to each other. In other words, a phone was actually to make a phone call. These days, a phone is for a lot more than a phone call. So the one thing you have to understand that I think actually is somewhat appropriate and okay is the generational difference of most teenagers these days talk by texting, but they're still talking and it's still interactive. It's okay. That's actually okay. In fact, I view that as a positive. Here's how to set some limits though. For example, when you're out with your family or say you're out to dinner, there needs to be some limits on when and how they text. So the one down about texting is when they're actually physically face to face with somebody or within your family, and they're texting. That's rude and it's disrespectful. Okay. Now, if they're texting each other from a distance, that's communication. That's how they talk. But if they're physically together, or you're out with your family for dinner, for example, and you're physically talking, that's when texting on a cell phone, in my opinion, is considered rude and disrespectful behavior. So one way to handle that is to tell your kid, whenever we're eating dinner, whenever we're together, whenever we're physically eye to eye talking, you cannot use your phone for texting in those moments.